and welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
You know, we're diving into a topic that can really make a difference in your real estate investing journey: bonus depreciation and cost segregation.
Yeah, it sounds a bit technical, but once you break it down, it's super valuable for investors, especially those looking to maximize their returns.
Right? It's all about understanding how to leverage these strategies for long-term wealth building.
Exactly. We'll talk about what bonus depreciation is, how cost segregation works, and why they're such powerful tools for real estate investors, especially for folks over 40 who might be thinking about retirement or just wanting to boost their financial security.
Plus, we'll share some relatable examples, so it's not just theory. It's important to ground these concepts in real-world scenarios.
That's the key, isn't it? Making it practical and relatable. And we'll also touch on some common pitfalls to avoid, because, nobody wants to make costly mistakes.
For sure. So if you're ready to learn how these strategies can work for you, let's jump right in.
Let's do it. So, Sarah, as we dive deeper into bonus depreciation and cost segregation, it really brings to light why this is such an important strategy for folks over 40 today.
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, the way we think about retirement and our financial futures is changing, right?
Right. Especially with the current economic landscape. Inflation is hitting everyone hard. People are really feeling the pinch. So having a strategy like this could be a game changer for many.
Yeah, and when you think about it, someone in their 40s or 50s might be looking at, say, a 15 to 20-year timeline before retirement. It's crucial for them to maximize their investments now to really set themselves up for later.
Exactly. And, when we talk about bonus depreciation, it can allow investors to write off a significant portion of their property's value in the first year. That's money that can be reinvested into other properties or even just help with cash flow.
Right. And for someone who's looking to transition into retirement, having that extra cash flow can really ease the stress. It's a buffer against the uncertainties we face today.
Yeah, and let's not forget, a lot of folks are thinking about wealth transfer to their kids or grandkids. They want to ensure that their family is financially secure, and real estate can be a great way to build that legacy.
For sure. I've heard from listeners who've shared stories about how they started investing in properties, not just for themselves, but to create a nest egg for their family. It's heartwarming, really.
Absolutely. I remember talking to an investor, let's call him Tom. He started investing in his late 40s. He really wanted to leave something substantial for his children. By utilizing cost segregation, he was able to significantly increase his cash flow, which he then used to buy more properties.
That's a fantastic example. It's about building that momentum, right? And then, when the time comes, his kids will have, a solid foundation to build their own futures.
Precisely. And with market shifts, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, but real estate has historically been a reliable way to hedge against inflation.
Yeah. With the way prices are rising, it makes sense to invest in something tangible, like property.
Right. And with the added benefit of depreciation, it's like you're not just holding on to an asset, you're actively using the tax code to your advantage.
It's empowering, isn't it? Knowing that you can take control of your financial future. I mean, that emotional side of financial security is huge, especially as we age.
It really is. There's a certain peace of mind that comes with knowing you're building something substantial for yourself and your family. You can sleep easier at night, knowing you're on the right path.
Exactly. And we've seen how property can appreciate over time, too. So even if you're not planning to sell right away, you're still building wealth.
And let's talk about that for a minute. Many investors are concerned about the market right now, but real estate tends to be more stable than, say, the stock market.
Yeah, the volatility can be really unsettling for people. And with properties, you can focus on long-term gains rather than worrying about daily fluctuations.
That's so true. I had a conversation with another investor who I'll call Lisa. She bought her first rental property a decade ago. At the time, she was nervous about the market, but she focused on the fundamentals, location, cash flow, and long-term appreciation.
And how did that work out for her?
Well, she's since bought several more properties, and the appreciation has been incredible. Plus, she's been able to utilize depreciation to offset her income, which has really helped her tax situation.
So she's built a nice little portfolio while also protecting her income. That's what a lot of people are looking for, isn't it?
Definitely. And, this isn't just about wealth creation. It's about financial freedom. It's about having the ability to make choices later in life without the stress of financial burdens.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate how much that financial security can impact their overall happiness and quality of life.
For sure. And as we age, that peace of mind becomes even more valuable. It allows for experiences and memories rather than just focusing on the day-to-day grind.
So true. I was speaking with a listener who mentioned that they didn't want to just retire. They wanted to really enjoy their retirement. They want to travel, spend time with family. Having that financial cushion makes all the difference.
That's a great point. It's about creating a life you love, not just existing. And real estate can be a powerful tool in achieving that.
So it sounds like as we're navigating these current economic trends, understanding and leveraging strategies like bonus depreciation and cost segregation isn't just smart. It's essential for anyone over 40.
Exactly. And it's a way to take control of your financial destiny, which is something we all want, right?
Absolutely. And I think this sets us up perfectly to dive into some core strategies that can help listeners implement these concepts in their own investing journey.
So let's get into some of those core strategies and rules of thumb you mentioned. A lot of folks over 40 might be looking at real estate investing for the first time, right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the simplest things we can start with is the 1% rule.
Right, the 1% rule is a great way to quickly evaluate a rental property's cash flow potential. Basically, if the monthly rent is at least 1% of the purchase price, it's usually a good sign.
So if you buy a property for $200,000, you'd want to aim for at least $2,000 in monthly rent.
Exactly. But it's important to consider additional costs, too. Things like property management fees, maintenance, and vacancy rates.
Yeah, and that's where the 50% rule comes in, right?
Exactly. The 50% rule suggests that you should estimate your operating expenses to be about 50% of your gross rental income.
So, if you're expecting $2,000 a month in rent, you might budget around $1,000 for expenses.
Right, and that leaves you with a potential cash flow of $1,000 a month before debt service.
And speaking of debt service, let's touch on financing options. If someone is just starting out, what should they consider?
Well, traditional mortgages are a common route, but there are also options like FHA loans, which can be great for first-time investors. They allow for lower down payments and have more flexible credit requirements.
That's a good point. And for those who might have some equity in their primary residence, a home equity line of credit could be a strategy too.
Definitely. That can provide quick access to cash for down payments on investment properties. Just be sure you're comfortable with the risks involved, though.
Right, and it's always wise to have a solid plan in place. Now let's talk about property types. What do you see as good options for investors in this age group?
Well, single-family homes are often a favorite. They're usually easier to manage and sell. But multifamily properties can provide a stronger cash flow, especially if you're willing to take on a bit more complexity.
Yeah, and what about commercial properties?
Commercial real estate can be lucrative, but it often requires a larger upfront investment and more knowledge. It's usually better for someone with more experience.
That makes sense. And then there's the importance of location.
Absolutely. Investing in up-and-coming neighborhoods can really pay off. Look for areas with signs of growth. New schools, parks, or businesses moving in.
And that's where doing your homework comes in. Looking at local market trends, understanding vacancy rates, and even talking to local real estate agents.
Exactly. You want to be informed. Another useful tool is a deal evaluation checklist.
Oh, I love checklists. What should be on there?
Start with the property's cash flow potential, then look at the condition of the property, the neighborhood, and your financing options.
And don't forget about future appreciation potential.
Right. Think about what developments might be coming up in the area that could increase property values over time.
So if someone finds a property that meets the 1% rule, fits their budget, and is in a good location, What's the next step?
They should then conduct a thorough inspection. I can't stress this enough. You want to know exactly what you're getting into.
And then, if everything checks out, it's time to run the numbers again.
Yes, reevaluate your cash flow projections and make sure the investment still makes sense.
Exactly. And that's where the cap rate comes into play, right?
Yes. The cap rate is the ratio of net operating income to property asset value. It helps you compare different investments. A higher cap rate usually means a better return on investment.
So, if a property has a net operating income of $25,000 and is worth $500,000, the cap rate would be
5%. You'd calculate it by dividing $25,000 by $500,000.
Right. And a cap rate of 5% might be decent in some markets, but in others, you'd want to aim for higher.
Exactly. It really depends on the local market conditions.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. What about some common pitfalls?
Oh, there are plenty. One big one is underestimating expenses. Many new investors think they'll have a certain cash flow and forget things like maintenance, vacancies, and property taxes.
Yeah, that can really hit hard. Another common mistake is not having enough reserves.
Absolutely. You should always have a financial cushion set aside for unexpected costs.
And what about relying too heavily on cash flow?
That's a good one. Focusing solely on cash flow can lead you to overlook potential appreciation. It's about balancing both.
So it seems like having a comprehensive understanding of both cash flow and long-term growth is key.
Definitely. And making sure you're well informed before diving in will set you up for long-term success.
Well, I think that wraps up our discussion on bonus depreciation and cost segregation.
Exactly, and I hope our listeners feel more equipped to navigate the real estate investing landscape.
Absolutely. Let's dive into those common pitfalls next.
You know, Sarah, one of the most common pitfalls I see among new real estate investors is over-leveraging.
Oh, definitely. It's like they get so excited about the potential returns that they forget about the risks involved.
Exactly. I remember one client, we'll call him Dave. He bought a couple of properties thinking he could flip them quickly for a profit. But he stretched himself too thin with the financing. And when the market dipped just a bit, he found himself in a really tight spot.
That sounds stressful. So what happened next for Dave?
Well, he ended up having to sell one of the properties at a loss, which not only affected his finances, but also his confidence in investing. It's a tough lesson, but it highlights the importance of understanding your financial limits.
Right, knowing when to say no is just as important as knowing when to invest. Another mistake I see is landlords not thoroughly vetting their tenants.
Oh, absolutely. Finding a good tenant is crucial. I had a colleague who rented to a couple who seemed perfect on paper, but once they moved in, they turned out to be, let's say, less than ideal.
Yikes! What happened?
Well, they were late on rent every month, and then they started causing damage to the property. It quickly became a nightmare. He learned the hard way that, a good application doesn't always mean a good tenant.
That's so true. And it's not just about the application. It's about checking references and maybe even doing a little background check, right?
Exactly. And here's the thing. If you ignore cash flow, you could be setting yourself up for disaster.
Oh, tell me more about that.
There was this other investor, let's call her Linda. She bought a property that looked great on the surface, but she didn't account for the ongoing expenses, like maintenance, taxes, and property management fees.
So she was just focused on the rental income?
Yeah, and when those expenses started piling up, she realized she was barely breaking even, if that. It's a classic case of not understanding the full financial picture.
That's a real eye-opener. It's not just about what you earn. It's about what you keep, too, right?
Exactly. And let's not forget about timing the market. I've seen investors sit on the sidelines waiting for the, quote, perfect moment to buy.
Oh, the elusive perfect moment.
Yeah, right? I mean, one investor I know waited for 2 years, and by the time he finally bought, prices had skyrocketed. He missed out on a lot of opportunities during that wait.
So what's the takeaway there?
The takeaway is to focus on your investment strategy and not get too caught up in trying to time the market.
Wise words. And then there are those hidden costs that can sneak up on you.
Totally. I had a friend, we'll call him Tom, who bought a property without realizing it needed a new roof.
Oh no! That can be a huge expense.
Yeah, it was. He had to shell out a significant amount of money right after he bought it, and it really impacted his cash flow.
So how do we spot these hidden costs early?
A thorough inspection is key, and you should always budget for the unexpected. Maybe set aside a reserve fund to cover potential surprises.
That's a smart move. And what about red flags? How can investors spot them before it's too late?
Well, one red flag is if a property has been on the market for a long time. You should ask yourself why, right?
Right. Maybe there's something wrong with it that you can't see at first glance.
Exactly. And if the seller is unwilling to negotiate on price or terms, that can be another sign.
So it's like a warning light flashing, right?
Yes! And if a property has been flipped multiple times in a short period, that could indicate deeper issues.
Wow, there are definitely a lot of things to watch out for.
For sure. But the important thing is to learn from these experiences, whether they're your own or someone else's.
Absolutely. So let's say someone finds themselves in a tough spot due to one of these mistakes. What steps can they take to recover?
Well, first, it's important to assess your situation honestly. Understand where you stand financially. What are your options?
That makes sense. And maybe seeking advice from a professional could help too, right?
Definitely. A good real estate advisor can help you navigate through the mess. And if you find you're over-leveraged, consider refinancing to lower your monthly payments.
That sounds like a viable option. And what about bad tenants?
If you've got bad tenants, you may need to consider evicting them, but always follow the legal processes. It's vital to do it right to avoid further complications.
Good advice. And staying proactive about cash flow is essential too, right?
Exactly. Keep track of your expenses and income regularly. If things start to look tight, adjust your strategy quickly.
So it's really about being informed and staying engaged with your investments.
Yes, and don't be afraid to learn from your mistakes. Each lesson can make you a stronger investor in the long run.
Well, those are some solid takeaways. I think it's time we move on to the next steps for our listeners, don't you think?
All right, so let's dive into some immediate steps that our listeners can take right now to leverage bonus depreciation and cost segregation.
Absolutely. I think the first thing to consider is just getting familiar with the concept. If someone hasn't done so already, I'd recommend diving into some resources.
Yeah, definitely. There are some great books out there. One that comes to mind is the book on managing rental properties by Brandon Turner. It's really practical and breaks things down nicely, especially for those new to real estate investing.
That sounds like a solid start. And podcasts can be super helpful too. Maybe something like Bigger Pockets Podcast, where they often discuss tax strategies in real estate investing.
Right, they cover a lot of ground there. Plus, there's also Real Estate Investing for Cash Flow by Kevin Bupp. It's really insightful on cash flow strategies, which ties into how you can use depreciation effectively.
Speaking of practical tools, what about apps? I think using a property analysis calculator is key.
For sure. The Bigger Pockets calculator is a great one to start with. It helps you analyze potential deals and see how depreciation can impact your cash flow.
And there's Deal Check too. It allows you to evaluate properties quickly, which is great for beginners who might feel overwhelmed.
Exactly. And if you're looking to assess rental rates, Rentometer is super user-friendly. Just plug in your property details and see how your numbers stack up against the market.
That's so helpful. And I think having access to your local MLS can really give you an edge. It provides the most accurate and up-to-date information on properties in your area.
Right, and it's often available through local real estate associations. Just joining them can open up a wealth of resources.
So if someone is just starting out, what would you suggest as a concrete habit to develop?
I'd say try to analyze at least one deal per week. Just pick a property, run the numbers, and see how depreciation factors in. It's all about practice, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And maybe they could even join a local real estate meetup group or an online community.
Absolutely. Networking is so valuable. You can learn from others, experiences, ask questions, and even find potential partners.
And don't forget about social media groups too. Facebook has tons of real estate investment groups where you can engage and share insights.
For sure. And remember, start where you are. Even if you feel like you don't know much, just asking questions is a great way to learn.
So true. It can feel intimidating, but everyone starts somewhere. Just take that first step.
And if you're really serious, consider working with a tax advisor who understands real estate. They can help you navigate the complexities of bonus depreciation and cost segregation.
Good point. A good advisor can really make a difference in maximizing your strategy.
And let's not forget about setting goals. Maybe outline what you want to achieve in the next year with your real estate investments.
Yes! Having clear goals can guide your actions and keep you motivated.
And as you're setting those goals, make sure to track your progress. There are apps like Trello or Asana that can help you stay organized and accountable.
That's a great idea. And of course, don't forget to celebrate small wins along the way.
Absolutely. It's important to recognize your progress, no matter how small.
So those are some practical first steps. Now let's bring this all together.
Well, as we wrap up, let's quickly recap a few key takeaways from our discussion on bonus depreciation and cost segregation.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, we talked about how bonus depreciation can significantly reduce your tax burden in the early years of your investment. It's like getting an instant return on your investment, right?
Exactly. And then there's the importance of cost segregation studies, which can help you identify and accelerate depreciation on specific parts of your property. It's such a smart strategy to maximize your cash flow.
Right. And remember, it's not just for big commercial properties. Even residential investments can benefit from these strategies, which is super encouraging for folks just starting out.
Totally. And let's not forget how critical it is to work with a knowledgeable accountant or tax advisor who understands these strategies. It can make all the difference in leveraging these benefits effectively.
So true. Investing in real estate is a journey, and using tools like bonus depreciation and cost segregation can really help you build a solid financial future.
Yeah, and speaking of building wealth, I hope everyone feels inspired to take actionable steps toward their real estate goals. Remember, it's never too late to start this journey.
Absolutely. And if you found value in today's episode, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, or even drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or a question you might have. And if you know someone over 40 who's interested in investing, share this episode with them.
Great idea. You never know who might benefit from this information.
And next time, we'll dive into a really interesting topic. Short-term rentals versus long-term rentals. Which wins?
That's going to be a good one. We'll explore the pros and cons of each.
So until then, keep investing wisely and building that wealth.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Bye for now.